Each minute you delay is a small funeral, a silent burial of a version of yourself that could have existed. No, I'm not talking about laziness. I'm talking about that seductive whisper convincing you that tomorrow's is always the perfect day to begin. That voice assuring you that waiting is strategic, that postponing is wisdom. But what if this comfort is the most elegant prison you've built yourself? Try to remember the last time you postponed something important. It wasn't exactly for lack of time, was it? If you were honest with yourself, you would admit you were afraid. Afraid of what? Of failure, of judgment, or worse, of the success that would force you to sustain a new version of yourself. How many times have you reorganized your desk before starting the project? How many times have you ever said, I will wait for the right moment, while watching another inspirational video? How many times have you thought, when I'm prepared, while the time slipped through your fingers like thin sand? Procrastination isn't what you think. It's not laziness. It's not disorganization. It's not lack of willpower. Modern science shows something surprising. Procrastination is, in fact, a mechanism of emotional protection. Psychologist Dr. Timothy Pyshil from Carleton University discovered that we delay not because we don't care, but because we care deeply. It's a fascinating paradox. You postpone precisely what you value most. When you postpone, you are not just avoiding the task, you are avoiding the uncomfortable emotions the task awakens. Each unfinished project, each delayed dream, each unfulfilled promise, all transform into mirrors, threatening to reflect truth you'd rather not face. Am I good enough? Can I fail publicly? What if they discover I'm an imposter? Do an imagination exercise with me. Try to imagine that hiding folder on your computer, the one with unfinished projects, with the draft of the book you have never finished, with the business plan that never materialized, with the photos you have never edited, with the idea that could change your life. It's there, pulsing like a guilty heart under the floorboards, reminding that you prefer the comfort of later to the risk of now. We procrastinate not for lack of ability, but because each task becomes an identity test. It's not about productivity. It's about the existential fear that perhaps we are not as talented as we thought. It's about the dread that the perfect vision in your mind won't survive contact with reality. And with this, we enter that comfortable purgatory of intention, that familiar space where you make lists, organize your workspace, tune instruments, download productivity apps, buy another how-to book, all to avoid the real doing. You get trapped in a cycle of perpetual preparation, as if inspiration were a divine favor granted only to the perfectly prepared. But this seemingly harmless postponement has a devastating cost. The Bible warns us about this in Proverbs 13:4, when it says, "The sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied." It's not just about tasks left undone, it's about how you become in the process. Chronic procrastination corrodes your self-confidence, like sea salt on iron. Each broken promise you make to yourself wakens your ability to believe in your own words. Time doesn't stop while you hesitate. It advances mercilessly, taking with it opportunities that will never return. Even more dangerous, procrastination isn't just postponement. It's self-betrayal, executed in slow motion. It's the artistic sabotage of your own potential. Each delay is a seed of regret planted in the fertile soil of fear. What you truly fear isn't work. Work is just work. What you fear is exposure, the nakedness of trying, of caring, of showing your soul and being met with silence. You are not afraid of vulnerability that comes with imperfect beginnings. This delay cycle is particularly cruel because the more you procrastinate, the larger the task grows in your mind. What was a small mountain transforms into an insurmountable mountain. What was a simple email transforms into an impossible dissertation. What was a necessary conversation transforms into a terrifying confrontation. The truth is that you won't think your way to readiness. Clarity doesn't precede action. it emerges from action. As an ancient Chinese proverb says, don't fear going slowly, fear only standing still. So, how can you break this self-protective cycle of delay? First, allow yourself to start terrible. Seriously, most masterpieces began as a mess. Every finished product once looked like a failure in progress. Recognize that the first version will always be imperfect, and that's a necessary part of the process. As Ecclesiastes 11:4 wrote, "Whoever watches the wind will not plant. However looks at the clouds will not heap." Second, minimize the initial commitment. Don't say, I will write the entire chapter. Say, I will write for just 5 minutes. Don't say, I will reorganize the whole house. Say, I will organize just this drawer. These micro commitments bypass your brain's alarm systems. Third, face the emotional truth behind your postponement. Ask yourself, what am I really avoiding feeling here? Name the emotion, inadequacy, shame, fear of judgment. By recognizing it, you diminish its power. Fourth, practice self-compassion. Stop punishing yourself for procrastinating. It only increases the emotional burden that leads to more procrastination. Instead, talk to yourself as you would to a friend. It's understandable to feel fear, but you can take a small step now. Lastly, but crucially, start now, not after this reflection. Start small, start imperfectly, start with fear if necessary, start with doubt, but start. Perfection is the enemy of done. The greatest tragedy isn't failing. It's never discovering who you could have become. It's letting potential versions of yourself die without ever having the chance to breathe. As James 4:17 says, anyone who knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it sins. Each moment that passes in a moment you will never recover. Each unrealized version of you is a loss to the world. Don't let the fear of inadequacy steal your potential. Don't let the seductive comfort of later become the laments of never. Today, not tomorrow. Free yourself from the tyranny of perfection. Begin with fear, begin with doubt, begin imperfectly, but begin. Because only in doing do we discover how we can become. And delaying is burying potential versions of ourselves that the world needed to know. The most extraordinary version of you is waiting on the other side of beginning.